Hey guys, this is Tearless here. This is my second review. It's going to be over Need for Speed Rivals. I really enjoyed this Need for Speed much more than the most recent ones. I started Need for Speed back with Most Wanted, the first one. It was one of the first games I got on 360. And then after that I love Need for Speed Undercover and Hot Pursuit 2, but since then I really didn't like the run. I really didn't like the new not Hot Pursuit, the new Most Wanted. Didn't really like that one, and I never really liked Shift and the more racing-centric ones. I'm more of a cop and racer type of thing. So I really enjoyed this one. Throughout this review, you're going to see a lot of cop and racer gameplay. I'm going to switch back and forth between the two, but first thing I would like to get into is the graphics of this game. So about the graphics in this game, I think this is a very beautiful game. I don't know what it is. I think it may be the Frostbite 3 engine just seems to really work well on the new consoles. The footage you're seeing here is all taken from the PlayStation 4. I got Need for Speed Rivals on the PlayStation 4. I remember, I compared it to Forza as far as next-gen racers, and overall, this looked better than Forza. I mean, if you're looking at Forza like just straight up on the car detail, it blows everything else out of the water. But when you bring in the environmental effects and the rain and the nighttime and everything in this game just did it so much better. And I thought it had fantastic graphics for being a cross-platform game. I mean, it was on the PlayStation 3, it was on the Xbox 360, but it looked really great on that, and probably that's due to, you'll see this in Battlefield 4, it's just the change between the next generation of consoles doesn't seem to be too much of a problem for the new Frostbite 3 engine that they're using. One thing I really liked in this game, you'll see throughout this, you'll see some more rainy atmosphere and maybe some snow. They had great weather graphics in this game. I loved how they put that up. And then there's some scenes where you're driving through like the desert dunes or whatever, and the sand kicks up and it gets all over your car and so forth. Sure, the graphics details on the cars aren't as great, but that's not really too much of a big of a deal for me. More importantly is the overall feel of the graphics and the environment that you're in, because you're in this open world and you're driving around, and you can see particles going across the screen, leaves blowing across the screen, rain going across the window. It just, overall, the graphics of this game were fantastic. As far as sound is concerned in this game, EA in general does a really good job, whether it be Need for Speed or SSX, of pulling together a bunch of artists and songs to create a great soundtrack for the game. And I love, some of the songs that they bring in. Every time I play one of these games, whether it be SSX or Need for Speed, I end up, going through and I'm like, man, I need to go download this song. You drive so much playing this song in the game, and then you're like, well, now this has to be part of my driving song in my car. So several songs were already downloaded and put on my MP3 player, because I was like, man, this is a freaking sweet song. And I've actually discovered several bands just from this. So they did a great job with the soundtrack of this one. Again, I hope they continue to keep it up with this. As far as the sound effects, the car sounds aren't as authentic as your true racer, but this isn't a game for racer enthusiasts. That's your Forza, that's your Gran Turismo. So to me, that's not as big of a deal. That is a problem in this game. One problem I did have with the music and sound in this game is the chase music was always the same. Every time you enter a cop chase, whether you're a cop or you're a racer, and as a racer you're always in a cop chase, they go to the same chase music all the time. It is so annoying. It's just continuous. I'm like, I want to go back to my cool soundtrack. And you couldn't, because the chase music would come on. So in future Need for Speeds, at the very least, vary the chase music, make some new chase music titles. I mean, I know most of your soundtrack comes from other people, but you had to do more than just one song for chase music, because it got repetitive, especially in the racer storyline, where you're for some reason always in a chase no matter what. So I hope they do improve upon that in the future. Okay, so the big problem I had with Need for Speed Rivals was really the design and mechanics of the game. It had some problems in it that were really kind of irritating. Before I get into things I was really irritated with, I'm gonna point out some things I really did like. I liked how cop cars you got automatically, like it was like you were issued the new cop car, as opposed to the racers who bought their cars. I think that's kind of a little difference that I really like between the two. One thing I really did like is right now you can see I'm driving through like wet rain, snowish type thing. You can see like snow, going across the streets and so forth. The car reacted differently, skids, etc., drifting, depending on the weather effects on the road and how the road conditions were. I really like that, you'd slip and slide more if it was raining and wet as opposed to complete dry roads, and they did a fantastic job of actually kind of portraying that throughout the game, and I really did like that. The other thing I did like was the speed mechanics. When you're playing one of the upper end racer cars, and definitely the top end cop cars, those cars were like made for tracks, and if you don't watch the slightest bump in the road, you will fly off and you will destroy yourself in a huge inferno crash. They didn't have infernos in this game, unfortunately. But you had to be very careful about even the slightest little bump. I mean, there was a time in which I just did a regular turn, but it was too sharp of a turn, and my entire left-hand side of the car started to come off the track before it came back down, and I was able to drive again. And that's just some cool attention to detail as far as the speed is concerned of the game. Now, as far as the cons go, the things that really irritated me about the mechanics of the game and design, the cop cars were like steel tanks, and the racer cars were like driving a wet paper bag. It was so easy to destroy a racer car, and then a cop car was a tank. It was so easy, and as such, it made the cop career storyline tons of fun because I could roll around for a long time, actually I'd say a fair amount of time, and not have to worry about a repair station. Whereas a racer, I'm constantly looking for that repair station because I'm just like at the edge of getting destroyed or something, which really was irritating, and it made things really difficult. They really needed to make it more even. As a cop car, I'm okay with like the enforcer cars being kind of bulked up, kind of like how cars in general were on the cop storyline. But as a racer, like I'm using the undercover car right here, and it wasn't much different from the enforcer car. So they can leave the enforcer cars to be the bulked up version, but they really need to bring all the other cop cars and the racer cars more closer together, because it was ridiculous the difference between the two, and it made the cop storyline and gameplay much more fun, much more fun than the racer storyline. Because the racer storyline, I was like always running for my life all the time. I was running for my life, trying not to get destroyed. And that's what made, the racer storyline, the racer career mode, not very fun. I mean, you lost all your speed points every time you wrecked, and when they can destroy you so easily, it becomes irritating. I'm kind of okay with you losing your speed points when you get wrecked, but you need to fix some things. One is making the durability of the two, cop cars versus racer cars more even. And then the other thing is that the cop AIs are brilliant when you're a racer. They're absolutely genius. They know exactly where you are. I could not hide from them. They would spawn, like I just escaped from one of them, and then they'd spawn all of a sudden right behind me, and then I'd have to go do it, like I'd have to go through another escape again. And that was frustrating for me. I don't know why the cop AIs were so brilliant when you're playing racer mode. It was frustrating. So losing all your speed points would be okay if they changed some things around, but otherwise that's what made the racer career mode so unentertaining compared to the cop career mode. You were always in a fight on the racer's storyline because the cops could always just spawn anywhere, and you couldn't like hide from them like you did in like you need pursuit breakers or so forth like you had in some of the old Need for Speed games. So, and the other thing is since it was so hard to escape from the cops, the easiest way to escape from the cops was just to go to a hideout and then press a button. That was the easiest way. For some reason they'd like all turn their heads, even though you had like 20 cops around you. They'd all turn their heads when you entered your hideout, and you were able to get in just no problem. As far as the racers go, you couldn't customize your car very much. I originally, I picked up my first car, it was a heat level 1 car, and then I realized that I couldn't get the upper like echelon of pursuit tech with it. And after I dumped so much speed points into it, and it was difficult to get those initial speed points, I'm sitting here, I'm like, I cannot believe this just happened. This is ridiculous. They should have done something better. You should be able to customize your car, especially as a racer, any which way you want. You should not be limited. There should not be only certain cars that can get the top line pursuit tech or pursuit breakers. They need to make more customization on the racer side. They can make the cop side more rigid if they want. That's fine. Because I mean that's the thing. Like you're issued in your cop car, and so you're able to get more upgrades. With the racer, you should be able to customize it wherever you want. The other thing is that you had to upgrade each car individually, which was frustrating because it cost so much. And with the speed point problems that I pointed out earlier, that made things really difficult. The cop interceptor missions were, I didn't like how the racers had a predestined path, like they always went the same path every time. I feel like you should be chasing them no matter what, and if I ever got in front of them, I could just like sit there and wait for them to come up the path because they were coming. It was just a matter of time. So I kind of wish they didn't have a predestined path on that thing. The GPS system is not the greatest. You may have noticed earlier in the film the GPS gets messed up all the time, so the green arrows on the ground are kind of hard to see, and it was really irritating. And sometimes I just got frustrated, and I'd have to start the whole thing over again because the GPS would mess up on me, and I couldn't see the green arrows very well. The other thing is that the cop AI, while brilliant when you're a racer, they're incredibly dumb when you're a cop. They will use pursuit tech on you, and they will set up roadblocks that'll end up hitting you. It's just, oh, they frustrate me. They get in my way. Every time I got to a cop, I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to do something stupid. He's going to do something stupid. And it would happen. It would really frustrate me. The last thing that I was really disappointed in was that the game was a bunch of highways. It wasn't a city type format, which is what I really liked in the other games. They should have a kind of city that you can roam in, you can hide in places, and there's pursuit breakers and all kinds of stuff. They really do need to bring that back. That was really cool, and I hope that they do. The whole highway thing was just kind of lame, and I was really disappointed by it. I'm going to go into a really short detail about the multiplayer and the story of this game. In the story of this game, I really didn't like it. I mean, it was cool how they intertwined the cop and the racer storyline, but all in all, it just, I know this doesn't matter much to people, but it really put across a terrible message. I mean, if you actually go through it and do the whole storyline, it's just kind of like, really? You feel less justified for saying that? But, you know, some people really don't care about that, but I thought it was pretty bad, and there's really no reason for it to be there. I mean, you don't even need a story in a game like this, so I don't know why they did that. And in terms of multiplayer, it's really cool how you can randomly face racers, or you can bust racers throughout the entire kind of open world concept, which is one thing that they really did that I really liked in the game. This really added to the overall gameplay of Need for Speed Rivals. I really loved, you know, how much content they put in. There were so many different races and hot pursuits and different types of missions that you could do. There was like over 100 of them. You really never ran out. There were speed cameras, all kinds of like record-breaking types of things that you could do. And then on top of all of that, you have the multiplayer thing where you can go around and race, you know, racers, or you can bust them as a cop, and that's what made it fun. There was just so much you can do. It didn't feel repetitive, and that's one thing I really liked in this game. Overall, I gave this game an 8.4. It's a fantastic game. Go out and get it. It's a lot of fun. I really wish that they can bring the cop and racer storylines together so that they're a little bit more even, a little bit more equal in fun value. But otherwise, 8.4 is what I got for it. Hope you enjoyed this review, and you guys should definitely go out and get this game. Tearless out. See ya.